Today we are talking about the lowest of the low maintenance plants that will actually protect the health of your garden. This is Nasturtium, nature's little nose twister. It's known for its peppery flavor, its pickled possibilities, and its protective nature. But your natural instincts might be stopping you from enjoying and reaping all of the beauty and the benefits of this flower. So let's talk about that. So nasturtium is one of those flowers that does best when it is directly sown into the garden. They just don't always respond super well to being transplanted. That does not stop me from starting them indoors. I do every single year, but I do notice that when I start seeds directly in my garden, those plants tend to grow a lot faster, a lot stronger, a lot bigger. They have more blooms. They just look a lot healthier than the plants that I start early in the greenhouse. Now, I don't know if that's because I'm not always the best at hardening off my plants, so I just might be failing them in that transition period. I like starting them indoors because it gives me the flexibility and it makes it possible for me to rotate new plants out into my garden throughout my entire growing season. And the reason that I like to do that is because I use nasturtium, as much as I love them and I think that they're so beautiful, I use them primarily as a trap crop. That's kind of what they're known for. So for me, the pests that come to my garden are typically aphids. And the nasturtium, I like to interplant them with all my dahlia beds because those little aphids just love to suck up on those dahlias. And nothing drives me crazier than dahlia stems plagued with aphids. It doesn't matter how much you hose them off, wipe them off. The stems just don't look nice in cut arrangements and bouquets with little black remnants of aphids. You know what I mean? It breaks my heart, like I said, because they are just so darn pretty. And I'm constantly pulling out big, beautiful plants of nasturtium to put new, smaller plants in their place. But it is a necessity in my garden. I try to just get used to it. Nasturtium is an edible plant if you catch them before the aphids do. The leaves have kind of a peppery flavor to them, kind of like an arugula. So they're really, really good in salads. The flowers, I guess you could say, have a little bit of a hint of sweetness to them. They're still a little bit peppery, but more on the mild side. And then the seed pods, I have never done this before, but apparently you can pickle them, and they are known as the poor man's caper. And fun fact about me, I love a caper. Okay, I put capers on things that normally probably don't have capers on them. Is it weird to put capers on a pizza? I don't know, but it tastes delicious and I highly recommend. Now, I did a little taste test sampler of some of my different nasturtium varieties that I grow, just to see, if any of them taste better than the other varieties. That way I can give you an informed analysis of the flavors. But regretfully, I'm here to inform you that according to my very unsophisticated palate, they all basically taste the same. Except there is one small caveat. This guy, dare I say, just slightly, almost unnoticeably better than the rest. Is that important information for you to have when you're deciding what to grow? I don't know. I don't know what's important to people, but just tiny bit better. And you should know that I did also read somewhere that the more stressed out the plants are, the spicier they taste. Which, have you ever related to a flower more in your life than you do after learning that? Now, I would love it if you guys would also do a little taste test sampler of your nasturtium varieties and let me know which one you think tasted better, if any, or do they all taste the same to you? Okay, because that is the kind of information that I'm here for. So my favorite varieties of nasturtium are usually the trailing nasturtium or the climbing varieties. I just think that they add such a nice taste of wildness to your garden, especially for me, because my cut garden is primarily straight rows of all these raised beds. So it's very linear and angled, but I do love like the cascading like beauty of all the trailing and the climbing varieties. I just think it's so pretty. And then if you are someone who likes a neater, more tidy looking garden, there are also some more like compact varieties as well that are just super pretty. So they're gonna grow best in direct sun to some like partial shade. And these little babies just love some poor soil. They definitely do not perform as well in really rich soils. A lot of times in really rich soils, you're gonna get a lot smaller blooms, a lot smaller plants. You might have a lot more like leafy growth instead of flowers. If you are someone who likes to fertilize your plants, save yourself some time, make your life easier, and just totally skip over your nasturtium. Okay, they don't want the fertilizer. You do not have to water them often at all. Okay, they are extremely drought tolerant. I have mine planted in my raised beds with my dahlias, and on weeks where I'm like super low on time and not really making sure that things are getting watered adequately, my dahlias start to get kind of like droopy and like sad looking, but the nasturtium, okay, completely unfazed. And I love that. I love a flower that's low maintenance. I love a flower that doesn't have to be watered all the time. These are great. They're deer resistant. I don't think I ever have issues with the deer eating my nasturtium, just the pests. So let's talk insects for a couple of minutes. I already pointed out that for me, the nasturtium really attract all of my aphids away from the rest of my plants, which is great. It's what I want. Some other pests and things that it can help with. If you are a big like veggie grower, maybe you grow a lot of brassicas, they will definitely help protect those. So for like one example, sometimes butterflies will lay their eggs on the leaves of the nasturtium plant, and then those little caterpillars will awaken and just like aggressively munch on all of those nasturtium leaves, keeping them distracted from your other brassicas, like your broccoli, your kale, maybe your cabbage. And those are usually like pretty like big munchy holes that you'll notice. But if instead you're noticing like little clusters of like teeny tiny little holes in the leaves of your plants, that could be an indicator that you have flea beetles. And the flea beetles, again, will go after your brassicas. They'll go after nightshades like eggplants, tomatoes, your peppers. I say this all the time. Having pests in your garden is not necessarily a weakness of your garden. It's not a sign of failure. It's just a sign of this tiny little ecosystem that you are building in your yard. That's it. And hopefully this ecosystem has balance, or it is tilting towards balance, and that tilt requires a lot of patience and calmness and trust in the process, right? Because those flea beetles, those caterpillars, those aphids, they all attract all the like beneficial, like good insects that you want in your garden. If they were not there, those good insects would not be coming to your garden. That's really important for you to understand. That was a really important thing for me to start understanding, because it's a sign of a healthy garden. You're gonna get ladybugs, lacewings, beetles, parasitic insects, spiders, different kinds of like flies and pollinators, and you want all of them. So yes, plants like nasturtium are going to attract the quote unquote problematic insects, but those also attract the quote unquote beneficial insects. It's great, okay? It's a great time. Just try and like calm your anxiety. Try not to let like one season of having, you know, a bunch of aphids on your yarrow send you down a spiraling thought process of doom.
My yarrow has aphids on it. It makes me feel like a little bit sweaty and a lot like anxious, okay, every time I look at them, which is often. Green aphids. Okay, I know that doesn't matter. There's like so many different kinds of aphids. But all the aphids that I ever get in my garden are the little like squishy black ones. Why are you green? Why are you green? I sound like I'm freaking out a little bit, and I honestly, I am.
And if you watched any of my update videos last year about my yarrow and the aphids on them, you will know that after a while I did find a whole bunch of ladybug larvae, and they like devoured the aphids. Okay, were they completely clear? For a minute or two, but then you know you get little bits of aphids here and there, but then the ladybugs like stayed, they ate them, it was totally fine. Everyone has a different level of tolerance for insects in their garden. I totally get that. But I challenge you to just maybe write it out sometimes, okay, and see what happens. I also wanted to do like kind of a quick asterisk point that nasturtium in like an indirect way can also help benefit the health of your garden, because it's sort of this like indicator of your soil health, right? Sorry, my dog she's off in a dreamland, right? Because if your nasturtium is thriving and the rest of your plants are not thriving, that could be an indicator that maybe your soil isn't the healthiest for your other plants. And yes, I understand that amending your soil can, again, not be super beneficial for your nasturtium, but you can always plant your nasturtium in pots, or you can plant them with other plants that will also thrive on poor soil and lack of water, right? So things like lavender, sedum, yarrow, rudbeckia, like these are plants that can tolerate a lot of heat. These are plants that are very drought resistant. These are plants that don't require like a lot of like soil needs to grow. So that could be kind of a good tactic for your garden, is just to mix in plants that are going to be as low maintenance as your nasturtium. And going back to the beginning, right? A lot of times our natural instincts when our flowers are not doing well is to feed them, is to give them more water, is to show them more attention. Just know that when you do that, your nasturtium plants are going to react the opposite of what you want, right? You are going to stall their growth. They are not going to flower as much. They might not get as big. So just forget you have them. Once they've kind of established a little bit, don't look at them too long. Don't overwater, don't overfeed them. Just let them be on their own, and they will be healthy, they will be happy, and they will protect the rest of your plants. And I think that that is everything that I have to talk about today for nasturtium. They are one of my favorites. I cannot imagine my garden without them. I just think that they're so beautiful. Please let me know down in the comments what your questions are, if I can clear anything up, and I will see you guys in the next one.